Hello, everyone. Welcome to Liberal Tarot. I'm Sherry, and I'm a blue dot in a red state utilizing Tarot to help us navigate through these very interesting times we have going on here in the United States. So, thank you for joining me and welcome. The focus of today's reading is going to be about NPR and PBS. And this is a very recent story. I think this broke, I'm recording this on Wednesday, April 30th. And this story broke, yesterday, or it was updated yesterday. Trump is trying to fire 3 of the board members of the Corporation for Broadcasting, for Public Broadcasting. They are 3 Biden appointees, and so he's trying to fire them. Now, he doesn't have the legal recourse to do that. Now, he can, the president does have the right to name board members and usually does that in conjunction with the Senate, but does not have the grounds to, they can't just fire people. And, if you take a step back and look at this, kind of like this, where is he taking over? He took over the Kennedy Center. They didn't have those same protections in place like they do at the Public Broadcasting Corporation, or the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. So the Kennedy Center, he was able to just go in and say, I'm now in charge. The Institute for Peace, now this is where Doge went. They tried to go in and they were like, we're not a government agency, get out of here. And so Doge actually left, but then they came back with armed, is it like CIA? There was something weird about that. It was like the CIA, FBI, U.S. Marshals. I think it was like the CIA, actually, armed. And so the people, they called the police and said, hey, we're being broken into. And the police get there and they're like, yeah, this is federal government. And they just automatically sided with what they thought was the federal government and, sent them on in. So, and now the Doge has stolen that building, and I'm not even joking when I say they've stolen the building. And that is, the reason I haven't done a reading on that is that's going to court, and that court case I think is like May 15th. So that is a reading I am going to do, and the ramifications of that is huge, because this was a non-for-profit that was set up by Congress but was not part of the government, and they have it's not a government agency. And so now we're just gonna, Doge can just walk into literally any non-for-profit and just take over and steal the building. So there's kind of bigger implications with that case. And so that's one that, I have on my Google Docs list of, watch that one. So, and we're coming up on May. So, that reading will be coming up probably about 3 weeks. I hopefully we'll get some news on that. But today's reading is going to be focusing specifically on the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Of course, the Department of Justice is like, oh yeah, he has every right to do this. And they're like, no, he really doesn't. The law does not, however, establish any authority for Trump to remove them. Okay. That's coming. And I'm reading from the NPR article on this. So yeah, Trump is wanting to take over NPR and PBS. He's wanting the Congress to rescind it was like $1 billion in funding, along with, not funding them in the future. So what I want to do is I want to look at, I want to do base reading, and the judge, that's where I was going to go with that. The judge is Judge Moss. I can remember that because, that's a family in my family's names. That's one of those names in there. So I can remember Judge Moss. Has put a temporary injunction in so that the board members are not fired. And he's like, no, I want everybody in here. And I want to, we're going to do the discovery and all that stuff. I'm trying to see here where it says. So yeah, they're saying they're not, PBS and NPR, they're in this, it's similar to the Kennedy Center, and this is why I mentioned the Kennedy Center and the Institute of Peace, is because they're kind of they're private sector, non-for-profit, but they also kind of involved in the government, like they receive government funding. So that's kind of why I'm kind of lumping all 3 of those together right there. And I'm trying to see here where the judge... Anyway, from what I remember from the article, Judge Moss has put a temporary injunction in and is going to be hearing all of that. So what I wanted to do today, I didn't want to wait for the court hearing, I kind of want to do like a base reading. I'm sure this is not the last time I will do a reading on this. So I just want to do a base reading of what does this look like? Like, where's it going to go? Is Trump going to get away with this? What's going to happen to our beloved PBS and NPR? I love, NPR and PBS. So, yeah, I just kind of want to look at that, see what's going on there with that whole thing. I'm going to be really sad if NPR and PBS goes away. We are sustaining members there at both. So, yeah, base reading. What the hell is going on? What is going on with the Corporation of Public Broadcasting and Trump? Just a base reading. As always, this is for entertainment purposes only. And while I'm shuffling, kind of getting in the zone, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. It helps in the reach for my channel as I'm building it. So I really do appreciate it. Okay, so what's going on with public broadcasting and as it relates to Trump? There he is, right in the middle. He wants to be the center of everybody's world, including NPR and PBS. There he is. And doing whatever he can. It's like he thinks that whenever he recently said he is like, what, president of the United States and of the world. It's like, no, you're not. But in his little addled brain, he is. So this is like, I can do whatever I want. I can do this just because I can. Because I have the power to do this. Walking away, going in a new direction. I'm curious about what some of the other content. My chair, this is all squeaky. I'm sorry about that. I don't know why it's being so squeaky. So, walking away, turning your back, going in a new direction. What is standing out here to me is this person in, the red cloak. So let's see kind of where that's going. He can do whatever he wants. Going in a new direction, winning at all costs. There's that cloak again. That's real interesting that I'm seeing, that come up so prominently. Red hats, Page of Pentacles, pages are messengers, money. So the message is about money. It's like he's fleecing of America. It's like he wants all of this money. For what? Like the tax cuts for his billionaire friends? We're going to sacrifice PBS for that. And things like up in the air, just real like, this is a card of literally, who knows? This is a card of illusions. It's a card of just really vague, like we don't know what's going on. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of what we're doing tarot for, is to find out more. And so this is like, but there's more to come. And also, I kind of wonder if there's not some ulterior motives for this. I mean, PBS and NPR has been on the chopping block for, years with MAGA because, we don't want educated populace. We don't want people who, are, critical thinking and educated. So this has been kind of a long time coming. What is this up in the air? Let me see if I can get more clarity on this 7. Like, are they finally realizing their dream here of what it is by defunding PBS? Toxicity. They're wanting to put their own little special spin on PBS. Like if they want to control the programming, they want it to be, that right-wing MAGA, universe thing. And they think the courts are actually going to side with them. I don't think the courts are. Okay, because the way that NPR article read was that he really does not have the power to remove the board members. Now, would they have the power to defund NPR? That they may be able to do, but I don't think that firing these board members is going to be what gets him what he wants. And then there's that red cloak. I'm going to pause this just for a second. I am real curious about this red. I'm just seeing this red cloak a lot, and I just want to, look that up real quick. I'll be right back. Hold on just a second. Okay, I'm back. I just wanted to look that up real quick to make sure I was right. The red cloak here is representing power, authority, power and authority. It can also be knowledge, but yeah, power and authority. So if we're looking at that, it's like Mad King Dawn is, looking at, I can do this because I can, and that power and authority. This card is what's giving me is really interesting because it's like, is this MAGA that's finally like walking away? I don't, they want PBS to go and NPR to go away as well. So I think this is, I'm seeing this more as instead of walking away or turning your back, it's like turning your back on something that the people love. Okay. NPR and PBS offer a very valuable service and in programming. So, and this is like we want to go in a new direction. Pages are, they're the pip cards, they're the, the court cards, so to, call them that. But these are like bottom rung here. These are not people in a position of power. So like whatever's being offered is like, it's not really like Trump is trying to do things that he doesn't have the power to do. Like he thinks he has the power to do this, but he really doesn't. And the courts are telling him no. This was just like things are up in the, he's just like he's throwing shit at the wall and is seeing what sticks. And, like if they just rolled over, if they refused to not obey in advance, you remember, resistance, we are not obeying in advance. And because they did not obey in advance, they were able to stop this. Okay. And so we're, just the toxicity of, what they're trying to do. But you get that, Queen of Cups, the programming, the NPR and PBS, they embody the Queen of Cups. And then you get the Justice card. Justice, steps in and puts a stop to this. So, So that's, I like doing that, PBS. So what is Congress going to do? Is Congress going to defund? And this article said, they weren't sure, the author wasn't sure that, Congress even had the votes to be able to defund PBS. So do they have the votes to defund PBS? And just 3 cards. And defunding, the power of the people, maggot, Congress, they want to be in charge. This is a beloved service, though, that people love, and it's a righteous cause. I am going to choose to read these in the more positive, higher energy, which is this is a beloved programming for the public, and it's a righteous cause. Now, I will, the lower energy, and that may be my Pollyanna. I've got on my rose-colored glasses today, and we're just going to do good news deck. That's all. I've got my good news deck, and we're just going to read this in the positive with the rose-colored glasses. However, I do want to put out there, because this is the Trump administration, the lower level of this, which is, they're going to be the ones in charge. MAGA here, drunk on power. They see this as a righteous cause to be able to, the Hermit card, to really like, this should be like shining a light into the dark for this righteous path, but instead they're shining a light into the dark crevices, trying to find whatever law they can use or manipulate, loophole, whatever, to get what they want. Okay, so that would be the bad news deck for interpretation of these cards, but I'm going to use the good news deck instead, and I'm going to say that PBS is saved. So let me just, is PBS and NPR going to be saved? And in all seriousness, are they going to be saved from the worst of this? And with that, things that haven't been seen yet, things that there's disappointment, but there's hope. So I'm going to say that they are going to be spared out the majority of what the worst is. Like, they'll still be on the air. Okay, they may have to cut some programming, or like the private sector really steps up. I know that we were talking about, increasing our donation, our, monthly donation to NPR and PBS as well. So, if you're sustaining members or haven't become a member, let's make this a pledge drive for NPR and PBS. So what this is showing is that, there's more to come. There's things that we don't see. I think that court filings, we'll learn a lot more about this in the courts. There's a lot of hope here. And yeah, you know, in past readings, you have seen, I get, whenever the Trump administration has to go to court and defend what they're doing, I get the pages. These are not one, pages are not experienced people. Okay. Now there are lawyers that are in the DOJ that are experienced, and any of them that have any that are worth anything, that have any type of ethics, are quitting. Okay. So what you have left is people that have no, moral compass and are just going to do the bidding of the DOJ for a job. They need to look at what happened in the first error of Trump and all those lawyers that lost their licenses. That, or they just can't defend. Like, they're sending these lawyers into court and they're like, we know we can't defend this, and then they get fired. Thinking about specifically the lawyer for Abrego Garcia that said it was a mistake and then he was fired. So that's the feeling I get here. Like, they can't defend this in court, and so it's going to come to an end. Like, they're not going to be able to do that. And as far as defunding PBS, there's nothing here that's saying that that's going to happen either. I don't think they can't defend it. They can't, Congress doesn't have the votes to defund it. Does Congress just even have, and with that, no, it's like no. Congress holds, and they know that the pushback on that will be, swift. So I'm not really seeing that. I think that PBS and NPR, of course, if you can up your donations or, start, making those monthly donations, do so. But, overall, what I'm seeing with this is that, it can't be defended in court, whether whatever the reason, the lawyers can't defend it because there's no legal basis for them to say that this is why they're doing this. Like, when like they say, oh yeah, he has the authority, and then whenever the court say, and what is the basis for that authority, and they go, because. I mean, I'm really paraphrasing, but that's what it comes. And the judge is like, no, you can't just say because I can. That's not a legal argument. And so that is going to kind of, that, I don't know. I'm not seeing that going anywhere. I don't know that Congress, especially those Republicans in swing districts, I don't think they have the stomach to do the rescinding and the cutting. I mean, they're getting ready to cut, do that just horrendous bill, that would give the big beautiful bill that's going to, cut everything and give tax, including giving tax cuts to the billionaires. That's going to be another reading for another day down the road whenever we get a little bit closer to that. I don't even know. Honestly, with everything else I'm getting and all roads lead to the tower card, I don't know that we're even going to get that far. Okay, so it's like I'm doing these readings now, and a lot of what I'm getting is I don't even know that that's going to matter, because I don't know that Trump's going to be in office that long for it to matter. I think that by the time this actually comes to, this point of, the cases, all these cases that have been filed, Trump's going to do something to where none of that is going to really matter. I mean, they need to go through all of, the steps and, be stopping him and putting those injunction in. All of that absolutely needs to keep happening. I think it's going to be real interesting as I get into, May and June, especially, what is this going to look like for us as a country? But right now, I will keep watching this. As I said, the first court date is set for May 15th. So I'll be watching that. And as long as there's freedom of speech, and I don't think there's going to be any shortage of news anytime soon, I will be here doing those readings. I am going to change the format a little bit. I'm going to do 5 days a week instead of 7 days a week for now. If things really start ramping up, I'll do those, add those extra readings in. So anyway, 5 days a week. And I will say, I'm sorry, I haven't been as good. I've been sick, and then my back went out. I mean, out. I couldn't get out of bed for it was bad. So anyway, so these past 2 weeks have been just a little weird for me here at the house anyway. So I was like, okay, I need to kind of shift some things of way I'm doing things. I need to heal and get better. So, and as you can tell, I'm feeling so much better. Still got a little bit of that cough, but I'm well on the mend. So thank you for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Like, subscribe, check out some of my other readings, especially if this is your first time here. I think I'm just going to have that All Roads Lead to the Tower card is just a permanent, check that out. And then I'll link, another reading, subscribe, all that great stuff. So thank you for joining me, and I will catch you on the next reading. Have a great day.